Hey everyone, welcome back to Ambitious X Driven. In this episode, I interview David Oat Alonso. He grew up in Spain, then went to Delft for an aerospace bachelor's, where he also did a lot of cool engineering projects. He then did a gap year to go to MIT Travelers, and then came to ETH for a master's in robotics. While he was here, he got interested in building startups while he was at ETH Student Project House. He built Giftit, Fireview, and Bloom. Bloom eventually got to Y Combinator, which he just finished now. And they just raised 3 million and they're focused on building and hiring at the moment. Hope you enjoyed this episode and also consider joining them. They're a really, really cool team. Let's go. Tell me about your story. Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Spain, in Barcelona, in the city, and I was there until the start of high school. Then, at that point, I went to a tiny village in along the coast of Barcelona that was like 2,000 people, and that's where I did high school. And during high school, I also did an exchange year in Canada, in Kamloops, for anyone that knows where that is. And also participated in three back-to-back summer programs in STEM. And then because I liked so many different things in STEM, I decided to go and do aerospace for my undergrad because I could do all of those things like maths, physics, chemistry, engineering, computer science, basically all in one. Um, and I did that in Delft in the Netherlands, and uh, and yeah, and then I fell in love with robotics through a minor. So I came to ETH to do my master's here, and then I at the end of my master's fell in love with app development and software engineering, and that's how I ended up doing startups. And I met my co-founder, and I mean that's a another yeah, that's a longer story that we can go into more in detail.
Sick, yeah. Maybe we can like quickly go over Delft, right? Like I think SPH has like a lot of Delft, like Delft mafia in itself, like Patricia, Zeno, Max, you. Yeah, what were you doing there? You were doing a lot of projects, right?
Yeah, yeah. I actually covered like a lot of this in a previous podcast I did, like before they changed the world. So anyone
Mhm.
interested in that, like, you should check that out. There I speak a lot about like the dream team that we set up. I think that was like the main highlight. Um, because of course I followed like the standard curriculum that they have there, but uh the main exception to the rule was that we set up a dream team, which was trying to build like an electric vertical takeoff and landing jet. And so we basically from nothing turned into a 40 people team, all students. And we actually like built a working prototype over like a couple of years. And it was really cool.
Damn. Um, okay. Maybe. Yeah. So you moved from Delft to ETH. What got you to ETH in the first place? Why did you move?
Yeah. Um, It's interesting actually. Like, so there were like a couple universities or like several universities that you could pick from for your minor, and I remember my top two choices were like Princeton and ETH Zurich. I think at that point I was mostly just looking at like rankings and like how good these universities were. I wasn't someone that looked at their minor as a way to like take like 6 months vacation and go to like Asia and like chill. I was looking at like what minor will I be able to grind at the most and like learn the most from, and like uh so then ETH and Princeton were like the top of my list. ETH, the cool thing about it was that I was in my undergrad, and then I could basically do master courses. Like I could just do entirely master courses in robotics, and get a really good taste of what a master's would look like and what robotics would be like. And I would just like, I mean, I loved the challenge, right? I had never done machine learning. I had never done robotics or like, yeah, I mean, I was very basic at like software engineering. Like we just done like Python in aerospace. Um, and then I got here, and I remember going to like these like the lecture of advanced machine learning, and so I was in my undergrad, right? And like the guy was like, okay, how many of you are doing your PhD? And like a bunch of people like raised their hands, and I was like, holy shit, okay. But I love that. I love that challenge. I had to like the whole introduction to machine learning course. I had to basically like learn in like 2 weeks so that I could catch up with like the content that was being covered in the advanced machine learning lectures. And it was
Yeah.
super theoretical, super mathematical. And I also took a course that was like Ducky Town, which is a funny name, but it was very applied robotics, and I just met really, really cool people there. I got super inspired by like the technical excellence and the rigor of these lectures and the professors. And so I just, yeah, I fell in love with that, and I knew I wanted to potentially come back for my master's. So yeah.
Yeah. Maybe quickly, just like going over it. You also went like 1 year to MIT driverless, right? How was that?
Yeah, yeah. Oof, yeah. So after my bachelor's, so when that finished, I did a gap year. And what was the main reasoning for that? I think the main reasoning was I knew about this student team. I knew that Delft was working with MIT driverless, and that there was an opportunity for me to be like the autonomous software lead at this team, and work together with like really cool people on both sides, like in Delft and also at MIT. And
Mhm.
and I don't know, I just really liked that applied part of robotics. I wanted to work on like something interesting, kind of like Ducky Town, where you would work on software, deploy it on hardware, and see it run, but on a larger scale, on an actually like full scale, electric driverless car. Um, that year, I was gonna be going to MIT to lead the team, like halfway through the year, but then COVID hit, so we just like
Yeah.
completely shifted gears and started working on like a simulator to basically do the competitions online instead of in real life.
Okay, okay. Damn. Yeah, I think you. I remember you said like you coded everything in C++ plus plus or something, right? Like a beast.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that
kind
was
of
another
crazy.
experience of just like learning C++ plus plus on the go, right? Like I didn't know much C++ plus plus before I started driverless, and I everything was in C++. Plus plus. So yeah.
Yeah. And then when you came to ETH, you were like doing a bunch of projects, right? Like YouTube, music. Before they changed the world, your podcast as well. Um, yeah, like what got you into like doing so many things that other students don't normally do, right?
Yeah. Honestly, it was it's hard to explain where this comes from, like, but I think from me, I take a lot of inspiration from others. So when I see someone being excellent at a certain craft, and it can be literally anything, like it can be like Carlos Alcaraz just destroying Djokovic at Roland Garros or Wimbledon and doing incredible things on the court, or it can be Magnus Carlsen like playing blindfold against 10 people right simultaneously, or
Yeah.
Charlie Puth like coming up with like some melody and having perfect pitch, and like just anything like that. I can just get very easily inspired by that, and then I just realize like, okay, these people are human. I'm human too. There's no law of physics that's like limiting me to becoming something like that or being able to do something like that. And so I just love to like take on a challenge of to seeing like how plastic is my brain and how plastic is my body, like how much can I how quickly can I learn something and change uh my ability. So
Okay. Damn. Um, maybe like yeah. So you did like the robotics masters at ETH. I think you also interned at Verity for a bit. Like, what's I'm really curious because you switched over to like app development afterwards, right? Like, what was your experience? Maybe like was this like a turning point or?
Um, well, so Verity was kind of at the start of my master's, to be honest, and it was a really cool
Mhm.
experience. Unfortunately, again, it was during COVID, so I didn't get a lot of like FaceTime with the people I was working with, but I did work on, like an important part of the pipeline, like deployed code to the actual drones and watch these drones like fly around at night in an IKEA warehouse, which was kind of like a night in a museum kind of feeling. Um,
Yeah.
and and yeah, and so that was a very positive experience. I learned a ton. But then the transition to app development happened a bit later in my master's, and especially when I was doing my thesis, I was kind of starting to work with my current co-founder. And then I just basically like listened to my gut. I saw how excited I was to work on my thesis and how excited I was to work on this app that I was building, and it was a big, big difference. And I think the main thing was probably iteration speed. like probably is a huge one. I was doing reinforcement learning in robotics, which is really cool. Like at a high level, I can describe the project and it sounds like fucking cool. But then the day to day actually like a different picture. It's like a lot of just tweaking some parameters, waiting like 2 days for a training run, looking at some graphs and like hypothesizing what needs to be changed. And with app development, it's just like, okay, I want to build this. Okay, let me just crank out some code and instantly see if it works or not and how it looks. Let me, add this new feature. Let me talk to a customer. And I just love that part of it. Plus the freedom, of course, of just controlling your own destiny and not being under some pressure. And then the other thing is that I found the output of a startup or of an app being a product that people are able to use, like people that that are able to use and get value from, versus a research paper was a lot more fulfilling for me. So that's kind of why I can rationalize it, but in the end, just listening to my gut would have been enough, right? Like, I was way more
Yeah.
excited to go for app development, so I just listened to my gut, and I knew that I would like put in way more hours and get much better at that craft just because of how much motivation I had.
Yeah. Um, was it hard like switching from robotics to app development, or like you just kind of picked it up on the go?
On a technical level, it wasn't hard. Like, I mean, yeah, it took some time, but it's that wasn't the problem. I think the main difficulty was more this like questioning in the back of your mind that asks you like, hey, is this the right career move? Like, yeah, you're kind
Yeah.
of you just specialized for 2 years doing a master's in robotics. You have a lot of classmates that are joining companies in the space or starting startups in this space. Is this the right move? So that was the main challenge, to be honest, because of course, like the first startup that I worked on wasn't anything like super glamorous or something that was like taking off instantly, right? It was this consumer gifting app, right? Like it was pretty random, to be honest. But I just really, 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 really enjoyed the day to day. I just loved working on it. I could just do that for hours and hours, and I loved working with my co-founder and learning so much every day about a new discipline. I think I'm just like obsessed with learning. From that perspective, doing something new was very refreshing and very positive. Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I keep seeing you, I guess like you're back in SPH, but yeah, I kept seeing you at student project house like 8 a.m. to like 8 p.m. ish, like every day, right? I mean, yeah, I think that's like
Yeah.
quite insane.
Yeah.
Like the most consistent SPH person. I think
Mhm.
like one question that like I like, keep getting is like how do you know like when to like move on from an idea, or like how do you like force yourself to work on one idea and not like switch between many things?
Yeah. Um, this is a very, very tricky balance, and like nobody has really figured this out. I do think that you get better at it over time. Um,
Hmm.
um, Let me think. So yeah, I remember this like in a talk at YC, which is like the good kind of crazy versus the bad kind of crazy when you're thinking about an idea, and like some people will call it stupid, and there's like sometimes they can be right, sometimes they can be really wrong. And the Airbnb founders are like an example of like good kind of crazy, because they like people thought they were crazy, that nobody wanted to do this, that there was no future here. But they had seen a few data points, and they had tried this experience themselves and had seen that there was something magical about it. Um, and so they had like a ton of conviction. So I think mostly it's just don't care about what others say, except if they're your users. Right? So anyone can just say like, "Hey, this is a stupid idea," whatever. Ignore them unless they're your users. Like that's the only time you should listen to them. And yeah, I think that's the main thing. Like, ground yourself in user feedback and don't be afraid to uncover the truth and to get someone, like force someone to tell you, no, I don't want to pay for this. Because I think that's a very common thing that does happen, which is like you basically postpone talking to users and asking the hard, awkward questions of like, hey, is this a problem for you right now? Like, would you pay for this? Is this useful? Because you're just so afraid of someone saying like, no, this is like not a problem for me right now, because it kind of kills your like fantasy, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's something that first time founders probably uh, do a lot. And at some point, you're just like, you stop marrying yourself to the ideas that you have, and you actually actively try to invalidate them until, yeah, until someone like, yeah, actively proves you wrong in invalidating them, and just like you do see something working. And a lot of people also, a lot of founders, like second time founders and stuff, people that are pivoting, they
Yeah.
um, they basically validate an idea before they even start building, right? Which is something like it's the opposite of what first time founders do. Um, so I actually have an interview after this call with like a YC startup that is now thinking about pivoting, and they want to just like talk to me and get some feedback about what they want to build, and kind of get a sense of whether it's a strong enough problem for me or not. So yeah.
Yeah. Maybe yeah, we could speak a bit more about pivoting. So like you started Gifted and then you moved to Fireview, and Fireview like you had some decent
Mhm.
traction and like like some yeah, I mean like quite some traction, right? Like
Yeah.
at what point were you like, okay, now is the time to work on Bloom, and move forward?
Yeah. Okay. So the first pivot from Bloom to Fireview, the
From Gifted, right?
sorry. From Gifted to Fireview. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the first pivot from Gifted to Fireview was in part really triggered by my co-founder. Like I do have to thank him for that. I don't know. I was just like, I had so much energy, so much excitement that I could just like keep going and going and going, even if things weren't really working. But um, I mean, obviously, I was seeing that like nothing was really taking off, and my co-founder was also losing conviction. So at that point, it became clear that we had to think about something else. And yeah, there had been a few ideas that had been in like the back of our minds. And one of them was like this vague idea of something like Fireview, which would was basically something that would solve a problem that we had had with Gifted, and that we had also seen other startups and agencies have. Um, and
Hmm.
and so yeah, that was like a very useful starting point, because with Gifted, it was kind of like the classic tar pit idea. Like, you as a first time founder typically have not, unless you've worked at companies and like have a lot of industry specific experience, you're typically going for like consumer type ideas that many people have also maybe thought about. Um, and then the question is like, why now? Like, why are you different? Why is this going to work if it hasn't before? Um, and with Fireview, the nice thing was that we were targeting a very specific niche that we understood very well, and was heavily underserved. And we kind of pretty quickly saw it by putting up a wait list, right? So we again didn't build. We just built a landing page. We put the wait list up. We're like, we're not going to build this product to then realize that nobody wants this. This time we're doing it differently. So we started with a wait list. We got some good traction, nothing crazy, but decent traction. And then we built the product in a few months, and then launched it, and started making revenue pretty quickly. And we also got then an acquisition offer from a company that wanted to integrate this product into their tool. And in the end, we didn't take that offer because it was a bit of an acquisition offer, and uh, yeah, it wasn't like a hell yes. And around that time, like this idea of Bloom had, it's like, it's super funny to think about it in hindsight, because basically in 2024, this idea had been floating around for a while in our heads, but it was like a very abstract idea, right? Like, it was like, what about a meta app where you could like draw something on screen and it would like come to life, or where you could talk to your phone and it would build like an app. But we weren't thinking far enough. Like, we weren't anticipating how good like these coding models would get. So then we were
Yeah.
kind of limiting our worldview to like super stupid simple apps, right? And then we were thinking like, but who's this for? Like, is this for just hobbyists that are like want to build some simple stuff, or like designers that want to prototype something? It was not in our heads that we could build like full stack apps that people could monetize and like actually make like yeah useful things from. Um,
Mhm.
and then in the holidays of 2024, I went to Barcelona for a couple weeks, and I remember landing in Barcelona and telling my mom like, "Hey, where can I buy a monitor? Like, I need a monitor. I need to do some experiments." Like, I basically wanted to take those 2 weeks um, to do a bunch of experiments to see if this was really a pipe dream or if there was a feasible way to make this happen? Like technologically, was there a way to sideload apps or to dynamically change the functionality of apps on the fly, right? For mobile apps, that's the main challenge here. Mobile apps, not web apps. Um,
Yeah.
and uh, and yeah, so I did some experiments. I came out of the holidays with something pretty promising. Nothing definite, but pretty promising. And then mid January, I remember like having this conversation with my co-founder, and he was like still in this like Fireview mode. He was like, "Okay, this is working. Like, let's keep going." But I was
Yeah.
like, no, man, like this is a huge opportunity, right? Like it's this could be extremely big. It could change the world. It's probably the coolest product we could ever build. Um, we should give this a shot. The YC deadline is coming up in 3 weeks. We should just build an MVP, a prototype. And in the end, I convinced him. I actually probably have the recording of that meeting. At some point, I should look at it. But yeah, and then yeah, we submitted the application for YC, and then Dave, who became our partner, saw it and really liked it.
Yeah.
I remember like the story there was also that I submitted the application, and Syrian was gonna like upload the video in like a few hours because he still had to record a demo, and the prototype was super shaky, right? So it wasn't like, oh, just record a demo and it'll work. You had to like try a bunch of times, and so I submitted like at 11 p.m. or midnight, and then I remember that before Syrian even had time to upload the recording, which he eventually did at like 4 a.m., that Dave like sent a message on the YC like platform saying like, "Hey, where's your demo video?" and and yeah, so that was kind of a bit hectic. But yeah, uh,
Damn.
yeah, interview was great. I got a bunch of help from people at SPH that had gone to YC, um, and
Yeah.
which we call the well, I mean not only them but everyone like the SPH mafia really helped us there with the prep, and yeah, it was yeah we got a yes after I don't know how many applications at this point. Like I'll probably post about this soon, but for Gifted, since Gifted, we applied every batch pretty much. So Gifted, I don't know how, a few applications, and then Fireview as well. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, um,
Yeah. Damn. But I mean, yeah, like I think like I was like pretty sure you're gonna get into YC anyway. I was just like surprised each time that like it took longer, right? But I
yeah,
think like each step you
yeah.
got
The
like just
last
much better, right? Uh,
yes, yeah, for sure. We just became like much better builders, and better at picking ideas, at validating them. And I mean, for the last batch before Bloom, we got an interview, so we were pretty close. In the
yeah.
end, they didn't want to fund Fireview because of market size issues, which I understand. So yeah,
Yeah.
Bloom was clearly a much more ambitious product.
Yeah. Um, maybe yeah, I mean, yeah, like I think 3 months of SF is like a year of like 2 years of zero, right? Like how like if yeah, no, how was that 3 months?
Well, it was intense, man. Yeah, like a lot of stuff happened. I mean, we we went to SF with a third person that potentially was going to join as co-founder if they were like absolutely incredible. We originally wanted to hire them as founding engineers, but they just wanted to like go big or go home. And obviously the bar was like super high for someone to join as co-founder at that stage. And in the end,
Yeah,
it didn't work out. So mid batch, we kind of turned the team around, and then I have a friend, Jules, who I worked with at MIT Driverless actually, and
Yeah.
he's amazing. And he had nothing to do right now. I mean, he was working at a job that he could leave, and he was planning to start his master's at the end of the year or this fall. So he had a few
Mhm.
months to kind of devote to something else, and we were like, "Hey, why don't you come to SF for 2 months and like join this crazy journey?" Uh, and he came, and that was amazing. Like that instantly like changed the dynamic. And so we spent most of the batch building, to be honest, which isn't the
Yeah.
best use of time. I think it would have been much like the ideal is you start the batch, you launch immediately, and then you use the batch to grow, sell to your batch mates, get growth advice from partners, use the YC brand as much as possible. For us, we just weren't ready to launch, and we launched on Bookface, which is the internal YC platform, kind of halfway through the batch-ish.
Yeah.
We saw that there were a bunch of issues we needed to fix, so we fixed those for the rest of the batch, and then pretty much launched like a few days before fundraising week, which is 1 week before demo day. And yeah, the batches
Yeah.
are a bit shorter than they used to be, and you just notice it. It's like demo day just comes at you so fast. It's crazy.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. So I mean, I guess you guys were just like locked in your like apartment and just like building every day, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Damn.
So yeah, that's another thing. Like, SF was great. Like YC especially was great because they organized all these events. They brought people together. You have things like alumni reunions. You have these talks. You have alumni demo day. You have demo day. These events just bring together like really awesome people. Um, and
Yeah.
but aside from that, like most of the batch, we were literally just in our apartment coding, and so that wouldn't be very different from us being in Switzerland. The main value was that the three of us were in the same apartment, living and working, and that created like a very very good atmosphere that I'm gonna miss.
Yeah. I mean, you could always like buy like yeah something in Zurich where you're just like in the same place.
Yeah,
Um.
no, I'm trying to negotiate a price for SPH right now. See if I can buy the J floor.
No way. Actually.
No, no, man.
um.
I want bust.
Maybe like I felt like you're already like an exceptional product team, like a really really like you and Syrian are like super strong. Design wise, like amazing. Is that like some new things you learned while at YC that like you think are like something you didn't really learn before?
Hmm. Um, in terms of products, like from what I see, um, probably not much in terms of product, because that's not really what they try to help you with. Um, it's mostly around distribution. Um, and I think mostly like, I haven't actually thought about like the main lessons, but so it's hard for me to rank them, but there's like a ton of them, right? Like just at the start of the batch, you had this event where all the partners in your group would tell their founder stories, and that's like very intimate. Like they go into a very high degree of detail, and you learn so much from their experience, their mistakes. Um, Obviously, all the talks they give about um, like fundraising and how you should go about it, and like also like the famous Dalton talk that I actually tweeted about after the batch, where he talks about how not to die basically, and things that he's learned from thousands of companies going through YC and what happens to them after the batch. Some just basic statistics there. Um, that's just super useful. Um, but the main value add from YC that I noticed was the brand and how that helps you in mostly like fundraising. I think that's where you have the biggest unfair advantage. Um, yeah, because it just creates like this artificial deadline that usually in fundraising you don't have, and it creates this like this very, I don't know, it just gives you like this confidence because you have high leverage. You have 500K in the bank. And so you don't need to raise money. And so, yeah, you are in a position of very high leverage where you can just say, hey, I want to raise at like 20 to 30 million valuation or higher. And investors like, yeah, like, okay, yeah, YC standard practice. When if you were to try to do that outside of YC, given the stage that most companies are at, like people would laugh at you. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I mean, we talked a lot about Bloom, but maybe could you like explain what is Bloom?
Yeah, so Bloom is the fastest way to build and share native mobile apps. So what Bloom allows you to do is literally this pipe dream that I was describing before, it's like real now. You can literally download the Bloom app, talk into your phone, describe an app. It could be literally anything. It could be an AI powered app. It could be a personal app that persists your data or a social app with auth or payments or whatever. You describe this in a few seconds. Bloom builds both the front end and the back end for this app. It deploys all of this for you. You don't have to do anything else than just describe what you want. And then, yeah, you instantly can use that app natively on your phone, right? With haptics, with gyro, with camera API, with like contact sync, with calendar, even HealthKit, all of this. And it's cross-platform, so you can do this on Android and iOS. And then you can like share this app literally with a single link. So we're basically taking the convenient web sharing experience, right, that you have where it's all links, to native mobile apps, which is a notoriously like difficult process, even for developers, where you have to build the app natively in Xcode or on the cloud with like EAS build for Expo apps. Then you have to have an Apple developer account that will cost $100 a year. You have to submit this app for review, even if you just want to share it with people on test flight. Then you need to send a link to the test flight app to all your users. They will have to download test flight. They'll have to enter this invite code, and only then can they actually use the app. With Bloom, like literally, you build this app in a few seconds. You have a link that you can drop into any chat, and then those people can like literally just press on that link. They get a bottom sheet that says like, you know, app clip experience Bloom whatever. Open the app and it just loads on your phone. So
Yeah.
it's just the most frictionless way to share native apps as well. Yeah.
Damn. I think you're also in like a really like cutting edge kind of company, right? Like you got like Cursor, Lovable, and more, right? Who are like kind of replacing software engineers. And you're in this
Yeah.
position, right? Like what's like your like do you have like a long term vision for like what's Bloom gonna be in like 5, 10 years?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's extremely exciting. Like the world is changing really quickly, and we want to be at the forefront of that change. Um, Short term, we're basically empowering people that already think as software as a creative medium. Um, so you know that can be designers, entrepreneurs, developers. They already come up with app ideas in their head. They want to build these apps already. Um, they just like take quite a lot of time to build or quite a lot of money, especially for like non-technical entrepreneurs. It's quite a painful process because they have to hire someone else. And so we want to first of all empower those people and let them bring their ideas to life with full agency, completely on their own, and at a low cost and very fast speed. But then what's really exciting is to think about expanding the envelope of the people that think about software as a creative outlet, right? And I think the best analogy here is what YouTube and cameras on your phone did to media, right? Where initially making videos was kind of limited to like videographers or people that were either doing journalism or people that were making movies or things like that. And now literally everyone is making videos. Everyone thinks of videos as like a creative outlet. And I think the same thing is going to happen with software. I totally see like one way we put this is we're unlocking the creator economy, but for software, right? The creator economy right now is mostly around uh, MP4 and MP3 and JPEG files, right? It's all just photos, videos, music. So that type of media, and software is a superset of all of those. So yeah, we I think the creator economy can become so much larger when everyone can build software for themselves, for their communities, for their fan bases, you know, and I'm super excited about that future.
Um, maybe also I'm like curious. I'm guessing you already went through a bit of like hiring processes, right? Like trying to interview candidates and hiring. Um,
Yeah.
was there like a big difference between like the type of talent you would see at like ETH and EPFL versus like elsewhere?
Um. Okay, so let me think. Yeah, this is tricky. Like I won't claim to have the answers, and take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt because I have limited experience. Um, but for me, the trade-off is a little bit in SF. There's obviously a lot more talent available. It's a lot more normalized to people that becoming a founding engineer at a cool company will make you rich because there's so many examples of that, and so there's just a lot more hunger and a lot more people looking for that kind of role. Um,
Mhm.
the downside is that there's a lot of other startups that are competing with you for that top talent. Um, and so in Switzerland, like the advantage is that you can become the hottest startup or one of the hottest startups more easily. But of course, there's also less talent wanting to take the risk or go all in. And so that's kind of the balance that we're striking. But in terms of top talent, yeah, I mean, definitely like the top people in Europe or the top people here in Switzerland are obviously at the same caliber as some of the top people in SF. It's just that many of those people end up going to SF or yeah, get poached by bigger companies here, or they don't even consider this like career path of joining an early stage startup.
Okay, yeah. And like maybe if you're looking at like ETH students who are like extremely talented, like yeah, like why should they join Bloom? Like
Yeah, yeah. Um, so there's a few reasons. Um, One of them is the technical challenges available to work on are honestly some of the coolest challenges you could think of right now. Um, they're challenges that basically nobody has figured out because they're just completely new, right? Like nobody has ever had to figure out how to, yeah, design the user experience for an app that builds mobile apps on your phone, or what the backend of that looks like. Like is it conversational? How does the user specify their preferences? How do they have high level control over the app, but also very fine grained control? How do you, like, it's very interesting for software developers as well because you're basically bringing some of these delightful things about software development, like hot reload, to non technical people, right? And like, just like, wow, okay, I just made a change and like instantly updated on my phone and also like the phone of my friend who has the app open on their phone. Um, and so those
mm,
magical moments, like how do you like yeah, it's super exciting to see like how you empower people. Um, but then there's also a lot of challenges around how do you remove some of the most frustrating parts of software engineering. Um, for users because these users don't want to be fixing bugs. They don't care about what line of code is throwing an error. They don't care about the internals. They don't want to look at logs. um, they don't want to like figure out how to run a migration script efficiently when you have data and you want to revert to a previous version of your code base. And so you have to
yeah.
basically automate all of these, right? Like you have to automate all the tedious tasks that you as a software engineer have learned to do on your own code bases. Um, and you have to think about how to imbue these into a coding agent. And so that's like super exciting. Like you won't really get to do this in many companies out there. Um, and so yeah, that's one big reason. Like the technical challenges are super exciting. The other one is you will get to play a very important part of a new industry that is being created here. Right? Like the impact you will have on the product will be huge, and you'll be able to directly see how it impacts users. I mean, we are all of us are doing customer support every day. We're literally talking with people on these like support chats. They're asking us for features. They're giving us like issues that they're running into, and then the next day we can just like push fixes and talk to the same people on these chats and tell them, hey, like run, like send your message again. Things should work now, or we fix your app, and that's just very gratifying as well. Um, and yeah, the other one is like financial. I mean, we we have closed. Right now, we haven't announced it, but by the time this comes out, we will have announced it. We closed a $3.4 million round, and so we've got resources to execute like at a very high speed and level. And it's a huge, huge market, right? Just think about like democratizing software development, which is one of the most lucrative activities out there. Um,
Yeah.
and and just picture like a world where like Haley Bieber, right, is like, hey guys, to her fan base is like, hey, I built this app for my personal note taking or meditation. Like here you can fork it if you want, or you can remix it, and you just pay $20 or something for it. We take a cut at that, or like a huge yoga with Adrian channel on YouTube is like, hey guys, I built this app for our community. You can track your progress and talk to other people in the community, all of that. It's like perfectly branded. And then she makes money on that app potentially. We are hosting the backend for them. And just multiply that by like all the creators out there and all the small businesses. It's just huge. So in terms of
Yeah.
ambition, like yeah, this could be the work of your lifetime too.
Yeah. I mean, also your team is like insanely like executes super, super fast and consistently. Like I do think like if you guys
Yeah,
continue pushing, it's like this is gonna be the cluster of Europe.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of the ambition. Yeah, we have a team that's like extremely driven. I would say, without a doubt, we have like probably one of the best designers in the world as co-founder.
Yeah.
That's pretty obvious once you try the app, like you will see what I mean. Um, and yeah, I'm trying to assemble like only A-star players that are extremely excited, extremely ambitious, and very smart. And so yeah, you'll surround yourself with these people too. Yeah.
If you want to like build long term in Zurich or SF, and like why, like what your reasoning with that would be there?
Yeah. I mean, for that one, I don't know how much more I can add. You know, on top of like the thing I mentioned about hiring, because that's pretty much like the main, like right now the main reason we're staying in Zurich is because we want to be Europe based, mostly because of girlfriends. I think if Sid
Yeah.
and I didn't have girlfriends, like maybe we'd like go to SF, most likely, I would say. Um,
Yeah.
YC like definitely tries to brainwash you to think that you can only build in SF, or that the chances are like way higher of success in SF. I don't know how much that's true, to be honest. Like it obviously, if you look at overall, it makes sense because there's companies there that do direct sales or are developer tools that like want to be close to startups, and for those, I think the factor is obviously significantly higher. But
Yeah.
then there's also companies like us which can just sell from anywhere. It doesn't like I don't know where Bolt is based. I know Lovable is based in Stockholm, and like it doesn't really change how fast they can grow. Um, and
Yeah.
then the main other thing that people use to compare the two is talent. And there, as I mentioned, is like on the one hand, you do have more talent available in SF, but you also have more competition. So I don't know. Yeah, and also like we've talked to some people like outside of the US, like people in India that seemed really good. But like people in Europe, especially people in India, that are really good, like getting them to the US is a huge pain in the ass.
Mm.
And so that's a disadvantage as well. Um,
You just like you just raised the 3 million round is crazy. Like do you have more to say about that?
yeah. Uh, yeah, man. So yeah, that round was raised in 5 days, more or less. Um,
Damn.
it was raised before demo day, and so the main thing and also like I have to say, it was raised without a single pitch deck. I want to tell this to people that are like first time founders, because I remember how much I obsessed about these things when I was getting started with like Gifted and stuff, how much time I would spend on these pitch decks and stuff.
Yeah.
I raised this round without a single pitch deck. Like I just jumped on a bunch of calls the week before demo day. I told the story of me and Syrian working together on different things and landing on Bloom. And then I literally just like shared my screen, gave them a demo of the product, and told them like what the vision of this was and like how big this could become. And the people that understood this product and like the technical problem it was solving, or the point that it was solving, and had a bit of an imagination, like just understood this pretty easily from that. Like they didn't need a pitch deck with a TAM slide or something. We also had like launched a few days before, so we had limited traction. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, YC like definitely helped us here, because these investors knew that there was demo day coming up, and a bunch of investors would be looking at our
Yeah.
startup and wanting to get in the round potentially. And so
Yeah.
yeah, investors just needs to move fast. And what's super funny is like you still get some people reaching out that book a meeting. Like sometimes European investors, mostly European investors, or investors that haven't dealt with like YC companies before, and they're like, I don't know, they like have a call with you, and then they tell you like, oh yeah, we can have like, we have our IC like next Monday, and we can like follow up after that, and they don't realize that the round might close like before that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like like investors that tell you like, hey, yeah, we have to pass because we can't move fast enough, like we can't make a decision fast enough. um I mean, honestly, like you should never believe what investors say when they don't go for you, so maybe that's completely lie, that's a complete lie, but um yeah,
Mhm.
that was very interesting, but it was a super exhausting week, like so many back-to-back meetings. I was basically just talking the whole day, and
Yeah.
telling the story, and doing demos. But yeah, the product really sold itself in the fundraise. So yeah,
That's great to hear. Yeah. And then we like all of Student Project House comes to like SF the week afterwards, right? Like right after.
yeah,
That must have been pretty exhausting.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I was pretty exhausted, as you remember. Uh,
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, it's good that you took some time off. Yeah, like, do you feel like there's anything else you'd want to like mention or?
One of the things that I loved about the experience was like all the talks at the start of the batch from people that I just thought they were like gods. Like I listened to so many podcasts of Brian Chesky, of Sam Altman, of like Jessica Livingston and Paul Graham, and then I saw them like in real life, and that was very, very, very cool. I just remember thinking like the world felt so small in that moment. Um,
Yeah,
and you also realize that these people are just humans like you, and they make stupid mistakes, and they have dumb questions, and they like in the beginning of their journey, right, they're just very human, very relatable when they tell these stories. um and so there's pretty much no excuse for you to just go for something, especially at this age. um I think the biggest risk sometimes is not taking risk. Like in this age, like the biggest risk, to be honest, is not taking risk. Like you should be taking risks. You should be making bets when you're in your 20s. And honestly, at this time as well, of like when AI is taking off and industries are completely being shaken by new technology, and there's um, no advantage to being in this field for like 7 years versus like 1 year, right?
yeah,
Like you have
because
an
like
unfair advantage. Yeah,
everyone's figuring
exactly.
out it out, right? Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. There's no rules. Like nobody knows how things are supposed to be done. And so, yeah, like young people have a crazy advantage now, more than ever. And I think you would be, yeah, you're taking a huge risk if you're not taking a risk right now. Um,
yeah. Maybe like
Huge
one
opportunity.
question. Like this is like a I feel like an interesting question. It's like kind of like hidden beneath. Like you were building like Gifted Fireview, Bloom, right? that like that's a huge that's a huge amount of like conviction and determination you had, right? Like probably like your parents were like, "What is David doing?" Like your friends are like going into like I don't know uh, like
Yeah.
zipline and stuff. Like how did you push through that, right?
Oh, well, luckily on the parent side, like they've never really questioned me or judged me. I've never felt like, yeah. I mean, they know I'm doing my own thing and I live in my head and I'm very different from them, but they never make me feel like they don't approve of what I'm doing. So they
Yeah.
just have enormous trust in me, and so that's been amazing, honestly. Um, my friends have also like for me SPH I have to say was huge. Like you just you just have to find your bubble, right? Like that's super important. If I was working from home all this time, I mean, I did do it initially for Gifted before I realized how cool SPH was, and I found some of my people here. But then once I did, I just like came here every day, literally, right, as you said. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
that helps a ton.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice. So yeah, just keep going to SPH if you're like still figuring things out. Then I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly, exactly.
Sick.
Yeah. Um, I
Um.
think that's it. If you are interested in what Bloom is doing, definitely just go to bloom.diy, build something, and send us a message or something if you're excited about our mission and wanna help. Would love to chat.
Sick. Yeah. Cool. Thanks a lot for listening to this episode. This podcast is supported by Founderful Campus. Founderful Campus is a Swiss VC investing in top Swiss startups, and they also have a VC Academy program for top students from Swiss universities that get to invest in all of the cool startups. And yeah, you can check them out at campus.founderful.com.